24, 12, 15. To some, they were just numbers on a wristband, but to the Mount Union Purple Raiders, they meant so much more.
Back the other way, 5 and touchdown. His backfield takes the handoff, and he is blitzed.
They stood for the goals the team and coaches set in the heat of summer practice. They were challenges they pledged to meet.
Boy, that's it, folks.
To win a 24th OAC title.
Scott fakes, holds, and away he goes. Touchdown.
To win an unrivaled 12th national championship. To make 2015 another in a long line of undefeated seasons.
Good for 6.
To return the name Raiders to the top of Division III football. Those numbers were a call to rise up. A call to be the next man up. The call to mount up.
The 2015 Mount Union Purple Raiders came into camp with very deliberate goals for the season. They were determined to win an unprecedented 24th straight OAC title and a record-setting 12th national championship. They also knew that there were 10 regular season opponents dedicated to stopping them from reaching their goal. The regular season would begin with non-conference opponent Bethany College. The Mount defense was anchored by a host of veterans that pounded the Bison all day.
And here they come. Oh, yeah. Down he goes. Ray is surrounded by purple shirts. 2 yards. The handoff and nothing. Wow.
The offense featured first-time starting quarterback Therese Scott, who moved from wide receiver, and its own group of returning players anxious to prove what the machine was built to do.
Scott back. He's going to air it out, and it is caught on the dead run. Namdar makes it 26-0. Scott to Nemeth to the 15, outside to the 10, to the 5, to the end zone.
The Raiders powered through the early part of the OAC schedule, dominating opponents on both sides of the ball. By week 7, the offense was averaging 56 points per game.
Back to Scott, fakes, keeps 50 into territory. Goodbye. And he is going to go the distance. Once he broke away from the tackler, it was 6. Hargrove left, Namdar right, but the handoff is to Mitchell, and he is in the end zone.
Untouched.
And the defense had posted 3 shutouts and was only giving up 5 points per game to the opposition.
The back throws, and the immediate tackle drops Devin Price. Haichu hit him. Read again, throws again, intercepted.
That's Jones.
And Praise Jones got one that time and took it to the house.
This is us, man. Everyone wants to be us. Who's chasing us? Let's go, everybody. Man. All right? Everybody's give us their best. Be a part of something great. Hey, we have a chance to be a part of 100 wins. Let's be great today. Hey, that ball's in the air. Get you one, man. Put in work on 3. Put him in dirt on 6. 1, 2, 3. 1, 5, 6. Put him in dirt.
Mount Union traveled to Wilmington, and the top-ranked Raiders were posed to win 100 straight regular season games for the second time in program history. And the nation began to take notice of what this team was ready to do.
Today, when the University of Mount Union takes on Wilmington, Purple Raiders will play for their 100th straight regular season win. That's right, 100 in a row. This isn't a Division III dynasty. It's a rule of law. Mount Union in the regular season is thin air on Everest and traffic in Manhattan. The last time the Purple Raiders lost a non-playoff game, this week 10 years ago, Nickelback had the #2 song in the country, and LeBron James had 0 points in his postseason career. After they lost to Ohio Northern on that fateful October day in '05, what did they do? They started this streak a week later. In other words, they climbed right back up the mountain all over again, and they haven't come back down yet.
The purple and white weren't just leading the national polls. They were also leading the nation in many offensive and defensive categories. The offense continued to score almost at will, and often in dramatic fashion.
Curry Scott wanted to go that way, couldn't find him open. Decides to run, breaks out of a heavy traffic, throws it downfield, and it is a touchdown.
Holy smokes, what a play that was.
Scott being chased and throws it downfield. It is caught, and it's Damdar. He's breaking tackles, and he is in for the touchdown.
There have been 2 spectacular touchdowns back to back.
The defense also led the country and shut out opponents for 13 straight quarters.
Ball is given to Speedy Hammond, and Speedy did not live up to his name on that one because alarms came in and drilled it. Turns in the end zone and unloads a long one that's intercepted at the 20, at the 15, running laterally. Brian Groves is still running. Dives for the corner. Eglin rolls right and hello. He dropped inside the 10. Josh Stewart. Eglin is going to be caught behind the line.
Chased down there by Jonathan Gunnell.
Eglin fires a strike through the hands of the intended receiver.
When the Raiders traveled to John Carroll for the regular season finale, their goal of a 24th straight OAC championship was on the line.
Let's go! Dominate on 3! 1, 2, 3!
Dominate! The handoff and nothing. Wow. Scott fires a strike. And there is 6 on the board for Mount Union. Handoff on the end around, nets nothing. Curry Scott fires it to the near side, and it is caught.
Kennedy.
Scott throwing downfield for 6. Roman Nandar.
Mount Union responded, as they had all season long, and pummeled the Blue Streaks. 36-3, dominating in every area of the game.
Scott to Nemeth, outside to the 10, to the 5, to the end zone. And the ball's dropped, the scramble is on, and I think Mount has it. Back to pass is Scott. Throws a strike downfield. Jordan Hargrove for the touchdown.
Let's keep me in that 4 eye. They can't block it. They can't block it. It's hard to match up with that. So we'll get you one here in a minute.
Sack takes place by the Purple Raiders.
Nemeth finds midfield and more. They still haven't stopped him. 35, 30, 25, and it is a touchdown.
You're the man. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Look it. Hey, you're the man. John Carroll's like, nuts.
Tom Lowry needs the tackle.
He's one of the preseason All-Americas, Tom Lowry, and you can see why here. He just doesn't give up on the play.
Way to go, man! Way to go! Come on, man!
An incredible 10th straight undefeated regular season brought conference and postseason awards.
10% luck, 20% skill. need his name up in lights. He just wants to be heard, whether it's the beat of the mic. He feels so unlike everybody else, alone, in spite of the fact that some people still think that they know. But no, he knows the code. It's not about the salary, it's all about reality and making some noise. 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, and 100% reason to remember the name.
With their first goal accomplished, the Raiders set their sights on the ultimate prize, a 12th national championship. The 5-week grind to a record 19th Stag Bowl began with St. Lawrence from New York. Mount Union pounded the Saints 55-23 in the opening round and then destroyed Albright College 66-7 in round 2 of tournament play. Raiders looking to score first. Here's Scott, play action, fires, caught, touchdown, Mount Union. Octavian Wilson puts the Raiders on top 6-0. 3rd and 3 out of the shotgun. Here is Nemeth up the middle, spins away from one, spins away from another, bangs his way into the end zone for his 2nd touchdown of the day. Back to the ground game with Neeser, and that's not going very far. Hank Spencer, the All-American, put a stop to that one for Mount Union. Here's Richardson back to the air, and he's in a little bit of trouble, and he will go down. Mike Vidal got him for the Purple Raiders. And Richardson back to the air. He steps up and throws right side. That is intercepted. Nick Rodriguez, his 2nd pick of the game, sets Mount Union up at the 27. Mount Union goes back to work. Here is Scott up the middle, and he is gone. This will go 73 yards right up the middle for a Mount Union score. Richardson on 3rd down. Looks to throw, looks left. He has to pull it down. He's in a heap, and down he goes again. Lally and Ferda combined on the hit for Mount Union.
Oh yeah. Let's go.
In a scoreless tie in the rain, 4th and 8, Raiders will go. This is Scott, pumps, he rolls into the end zone for Hargrove, touchdown, Mount Union. Gets his punt is blocked, it's in the end zone, recovered for a Mount Union score. Groves blocked it, Renshaw fell on it, 13-0 Mount Union. Left side, and it is incomplete. Tried to hook up with Gaynor, and Will Heitshoe put a blast on him and knocked the ball free. Scott from the shotgun. Quick fake, now swings it out. This is Kennedy, and he leaps into the end zone for a Mount Union touchdown. And Jamal Johnson gets the carry, bounces it outside, heading for the pylon. Touchdown, Mount Union.
That was a better team we played a week ago. Okay, I guarantee you the team that's coming in here next week will be better than them.
Week 3 of the playoffs brought the toughest test yet for Mount Union. The 11th-ranked Wesley Wolverines came to town with a high-powered offense that featured Gallardi-winning quarterback Joe Callahan and a strong and athletic defense eager to take on the top-ranked Raiders.
And he does it out! Where my riders at? Right here, right here!
Mount Union jumped out to an early lead. Scott, Nemeth, touchdown, Mount Union. They never touched it. And Callahan looks right, sets up the screen to George, and Brian Groves wouldn't hear of it. 2nd and 10 as the fog starts to settle in. Here's a swing pass. This is Clark, the tight end, up the sideline. They tried to push him out, couldn't get it done, and Lane Clark is into the end zone for a Mount Union score.
Hey, who knew you had those wheels? Great job, baby.
It just started. It just started.
The Wolverines close the gap to make it a one-score game with just over 9 minutes remaining. The Purple Raiders played like the champions they are and blew the game open by halftime. Scott looks to his right. He airs it out for Kennedy. Touchdown, Mount Union. The defense allowed Wesley just 7 more yards of offense in the first half, while the offense put on a display, scoring 4 more times before the break. Looks over that Wesley defense, and he will roll left, wants to throw, does throw. It's Johnson, dives, scores! Touchdown, Mount Union. Callahan looks to throw. Here comes Gunnell. He throws off his back foot. It's intercepted. Lewis Berry on the return. Heads up the right sideline, gets a block, and is wrapped up. Another Mount Union defensive turnover. Looks it over again to the shotgun. He looks left, he throws left. Namdar at the goal line, into the end zone. Another Mount Union touchdown. Wesley really needs to get something going here. Callahan swings it out. This is George fighting for room. He lost the ball. Mount Union's got it. Alex Kochev on the fumble recovery. Raiders trying to cash in on the fumble recovery by Kochev. This is Scott. Looks over the middle. It's Namdar again at the 5. Into the end zone for the Purple Raiders. 48-14 Mount Union. Callahan back to work. Steps up again, wants to throw, rolls left, forces it out, and it's intercepted. Alex Kochev there again for Mount Union. Callahan wants to throw, doesn't have any time. He's in trouble again. Furnace on him, Spencer's on him, he flipped it forward. It'll be an incomplete pass. Wesley tried to come back in the second half, but the Raiders held off the Wolverines, and senior running back Logan Neiman put the exclamation point on the Raider 56-35 victory in the fourth quarter. Wesley with a couple of scores. Mount Union needs to get something going offensively. This will be Neiman on first down, and he bounces it outside. He's got some blockers. Logan Neiman down the sideline, one man to beat. He cuts back into the end zone. 73-yard touchdown. For the 21st consecutive season, Mount Union was in the national semifinals, and the eyes of the college football world turned to Alliance to see the matchup between Wisconsin Whitewater and the Purple Raiders. A capacity crowd jammed Mount Union Stadium to see the two most dominant teams in Division III football square off for the 12th time since 2002. Unlike the last 9 meetings, this game was a week earlier and would decide which team made it to Salem and the Amos Alonzo Stag Bowl. Despite some early success by the Warhawks, the Raider defense played strong and limited Whitewater to early field goals. The Mount offense came on the field trailing in a game for the first time and sprang to life. The Raiders scored 15 points in 2 minutes to close out the first quarter with a 15-6 lead that would stay until halftime. As we approach 2 minutes in the first, Mount Union still looking for its first score. Scott with a play action. He'll throw down the middle. Namdar got it! Touchdown, Mount Union! They tie it up at 6. And Whitewater trying to answer the Mount Union score. Nelson looks and throws. It's intercepted! Mike Berta up the sideline and out of bounds. The defensive lineman back in coverage gets the Raiders the ball back. On second down, goal to go. Scott will keep it himself, but he knifes his way in for a Mount Union score. 13-6, Mount Union. Now this will be a 2-point try. It is Kennedy, normally the holder. He'll roll to the right. Now he throws, and it is caught. The kicker, Jake Antel with a 2-pointer for Mount Union. They get 15-6. The Mount Union defense wreaked havoc on the Warhawks, grabbing 3 turnovers and never allowing Whitewater into the red zone during the entire game. Senior All-Americans Alex Kochev and Hank Spencer led the charge with 10 tackles each, and the defensive line had 3 sacks. Second down 4. Nelson again takes too much time and alarms plants him.
They can't run the ball. No, they can't.
Nope. No way. They good there.
The offense roared through the Whitewater defense thanks to a dominating performance by the offensive line that put to rest any doubts from the national media about which team was the strongest up front. Logan Nemeth behind that offensive line that is plowing the way all day long.
He did go back.
I know. I read that. No, I read it. Go out.
Oh,
Mount Union back to work. It is Scott with time over the middle. Touchdown. It's Kennedy, 18 yards. It's 28-6. Raiders have blown it open. The massive holes opened up by All-American and Remington Award winner Mitch Doherty, All-American Michael Frank, and the O-line and their strong protection of Therese Scott allowed the Raiders to rush for over 300 yards and pave the way for an incredible 11th straight Stag Bowl appearance. Again, it's Nemeth. Again, a big hole. Again, he pulls his way in for a Mount Union touchdown. 35 straight points for Mount Union. And Nelson with play action over the middle. It's intercepted. Will Heichu. That should just about wrap it up. Mount Union can make plans for next week in Salem, Virginia. While fans celebrated the victory, the Raiders knew there was still work to be done.
That was a great win, okay? And we beat a heck of a team, but there ain't nothing on this thing that says anything about Whitewater, does it? No. It says 24-12-15. We got one more game to win. Yes, sir. We got one more game to win.
For the 19th time since 1993, Mount Union and its fans found themselves in the Roanoke Valley just before Christmas for the Amos Alonzo Stag Bowl. While the Raider faithful psyched themselves up in the parking lot, the players prepared to do battle with the same opponent they faced in 2012, St. Thomas of Minnesota. Gagliardi Award finalist Alex Kochev, D3 Defensive Player of the Year Tom Lally, and Jonathan Goodell would be playing in their record-breaking 60th college football game, and they were determined to make sure they ended their careers with a win.
Hey, you're better than you guys. All right, let's go out and play. Let's go.
Bitter cold and a 40-mile-an-hour wind made things tough for Mount Union early. The Tommies used the wind to their advantage, and for the second week in a row, Mount trailed in the first quarter.
And in the end, you got to tighten up too. Where you at, Durham? Durham!
Go.
Tighten up. You got to hold your tackle.
Another sack by Lally.
They're going to walk around. You just got to be patient. The guys in the middle of the field, just be patient, okay?
The Raider offense got things going in the second quarter, and the teams went into the halftime locker room all tied at 14.
Third and goal. Scott, quick hitter, touchdown. Lane Clark, his 4th catch of the year.
You're uncovered, chase through to the next defender. Good, Johnny. Good work, all right? Good job.
Gould tucks it on the scramble and had to tap the brakes. Down he goes. No gain. Trade Jones from his corner spot. 3rd down. Allows for play action. Scott to throw. Sideline ball to the end zone. Touchdown. Namdar brought it in.
St. Thomas had grabbed another lead in the third quarter when the Mount Union offense heeded the call to mount up. The Raiders ripped through the Tommy defense and the win for 21 unanswered points to grab a lead they would never relinquish. On 2nd and 8. Scott rolling to his right. He wants Clark. He bobbles it. Did he hang on? Yes! Touchdown, Mount Union. Second touchdown of the day for Lane Clark.
Keep it up, boys. Keep it up. Keep it up. Keep it up, brother. Keep it up.
It's a reverse. Waldvogel turns the corner, and I think he fumbled the ball. Mount Union has it. Stewart recovered the fumble for the Purple Raiders.
Therese Scott, the senior, under pressure, shakes free. Scott to throw, sideline, and it is, what do they say? Caught. Braden Friss, the sophomore, plucked it.
At the 26-yard line, it's Mitchell again. Out in the open, works his way to the sideline. They finally wrap him up at the 10-yard line. And B.J. Mitchell with a huge hole, virtually untouched for a Mount Union score, and the Raiders take the lead.
Scott off the fake. Therese Scott, touchdown. Nifty run.
Raider defenders created turnovers and sacks and made big plays when it counted to turn the tide of the game. On second down and 8, Therese Scott, he has had some day. He will give the ball to Nemeth. He's through the line. Nemeth is on the run and into the end zone. His second touchdown wraps up the 12th championship for Mount Union.
Gould doubles away from Lally. Has some room. Throws. Intercepted. Picked off by Lewis Perry, the freshman.
Therese Scott would go on to be the game MVP, throwing for 3 scores and running for another. The Raiders and D3 Coach of the Year, Vince Karras, proved once again to a skeptical national media that there is truly only one purple power in Division III football. As Mount Union celebrated another national championship, the 2015 Purple Raiders knew that they were a part of the greatest dynasty in college football. 24 straight OAC titles, a 12th playoff one national championship, and a tradition of winning no other team has matched.
This is Mount Union. All we do is win. We are home on the road.
This is Mount Union football.
The D go harder. Try to cover the D and the O scoring.
Some really nice things.